You
Oh,
cannot
that was
tell
so
me
good.
that brown sludge is fresher than this.
Yeah, that was literally crap in a tube. Matcha seems to be a thing that everyone's doing, like drugs. No, I love matcha, right? I love a Kit Kat, I love a drink, and some people do some crazy things with it. Like you go to some coffee chains and they're doing like white, it's like matcha and jam. Yeah, and so, you know what I mean? They're trying to experiment with it quite a lot instead of just concentrating on making a really good matcha taste. I quite like it because I think it tastes earthy. I'm like, oh, this tastes like outside. You know what I mean? I love it. Love the taste. Love the smell. And I mean, things from Asia in general, we've had a big push on things moving into the West more. Music, beauty, and even food. And it's all good stuff. And we've had brands really trying to replicate a lot of what is becoming popular. Again, skincare, beauty brands, makeup brands, loads of brands saying this is K-beauty when it's actually nothing to do with Korea at all. And this year we're seeing a huge move of Chinese beauty into the Western world. And we've had people being cancelled over things like pretending they invented soy sauce marinated eggs. And the newest addition has been this brand, Poda, easy tubes of matcha paste. Yum. So it's oh wow, that's one of the worst logos I've ever seen. They say, squeeze, stir and sip, bringing you fresh matcha paste in a tube. I, so it's basically a pre-pasted, pre-made paste of matcha in a tube. This barely saves you time, really. Let's be real. I think it's a shitty idea, and I would rather, I like to smell matcha and I like to see the powder. I don't know. I just don't like this idea in general. If you think you've seen this brand before, that's because they already got cancelled into closing a year ago after the owner said some absolutely insane things and then paid for them to be ads. Basically, let's take a look at some previous fuck ups.
Most matcha powder is a scam. Let me explain. Most matcha is stale, clumpy, and made in China.
Hi, I don't know if you knew this or not, but matcha actually originated from China. Japanese Buddhist monks went to China to study and then brought back tea.
And sorry, imagine making a matcha brand and not knowing some of the basic history of it, or even researching into the history of it. Where does it come from? Where did it originate? What's the product story? That you're like, oh, and it's made in China.
From China to Japan. It then became popularized and then incorporated into their own culture. And matcha is actually so popular right now that they cannot keep it on the shelves. I went to Japan in October of 2024, and Ippudo actually had a one per person limit. It's also a shame
Wow.
that you had to put down the traditional tools to prepare matcha in order to make your product seem more appealing. Because just so you know, they also do sell ready to go matcha sticks by Ippudo, and you don't need a whisk or anything like that.
Oh.
And if you really are very lazy, you can actually throw your matcha powder into a milk frother or just shake it very vigorously, and you really don't need the whisks. And lastly, I want to say a good matcha is a very vibrant green and not a murky brown green. So you touching base on the color of matcha really did not help the case of your product. Anyways, it's disappointing that you made it seem like products made in China were crappy and that traditional tools associated with matcha preparation were crap. But I'm just a silly girl. What do I know?
So if you are now blocking every single person from the Asian community that has expressed their opinions or their thoughts about the opening of your matcha business, then you are not supporting the community at all. I actually was not going to make a response about this, but a lot of people have reached out to me, members of the Asian community, that have told me that they have now been blocked from Instagram from Drink Prado.
Here's the thing, right? If you are being told that something you have done is kind of hurtful to a community and people from that community are saying, listen, you've said some really horrible things, nasty things about the way we prepare this culturally, the way of the tools. You said the tools are useless. You said that anything made in China is bad, essentially. If people are saying this is really hurtful and it's actually factually incorrect, do you not think you should listen and maybe as a brand selling something want to hear the facts?
And personally, I think that is a complete overreaction. But also, I think that's completely counterproductive if you say that you're uplifting the Asian community through
Yeah.
creating a business off of them or their culture. Like, if you are making a business that is off of someone else's culture, but then can't have those real and honest conversations with
Right?
members of that community, then your intentions were never pure. I was actually not going to respond to the original response video because I felt that it was really just a way for you to provide more context on why you were inspired to create a matcha business. And though some people might find that helpful and might give them more context as to why they should support you, I do feel like that was still very invalidating towards anyone that expressed their opinions. I think the pivot was necessary and it is appreciated. However, if you are then going to say that you support all these Asian businesses and even list them in the comments of your video, but then actually turn around and block so many people in the community who are Asian, who are expressing their opinions, who are starting businesses, and who are actually starting matcha businesses, then you are not supporting the community whatsoever. And I think that video...
You're trying to be like, oh, we're better than you because we made a matcha paste.
...was once again very performative. I do think it's really important for the Albuquerque community to know that members of the Asian community are not being heard and are no longer even able to support that business. If they support that pivot, they aren't even able to support that business anymore because they are now blocked. And so for the people that, you know, maybe didn't agree with my opinion because it was possibly creating more division and not allowing for cultures to be shared, like blocking everybody.
The main issue isn't like the culture being shared. It's the fact that this guy has said, and what we got from the previous video to this is he was like made in China. He used made in China along with a list of bad things, right? The texture's not good, whatever, and it's made in China. And then he goes on in that video, as we heard from the first video, to say that the tools like the whisks and all this kind of stuff aren't important, all this stuff. You know, tea and the ceremony of tea can be, and even the preparation of food in lots of different countries can be quite culturally significant and important. It's you know, rituals. So to say something so dismissive of something is like one of the main reasons why a lot of people would be upset about this, you know?
And stopping them from being able to engage with you is also not how cultures can be shared.
Yeah, not at all.
And again, there are plenty of other ways for cultures to be shared and to experience other cultures, like traveling and like meeting other people from other cultures and actually having deep and honest conversations with them about the things that you do and about the things that you experience, and sharing language and sharing food. But it is not about exploiting that culture and trying to make money off of a trend. And I think there's a lot more conversations that need to be had about this general topic. I don't want to talk about Prado anymore, but I am open to having more discussions about the unconscious bias of why people are frustrated that an Asian
I thought they were called Poda.
woman has opinions and is expressing them loudly. Anyways, keep supporting Asian-owned businesses and keep supporting people of color who own businesses as well. And continue to think about the things that you're consuming.
So I've been calling it right. Is it Prodo or Poda? I have no idea. It's a stupid name, innit?
Have y'all seen that squeeze tube matcha video?
Let's make matcha, but we don't need any of this crap. We need to put matcha in a squeezable paste format.
Look, I'm all for product
We don't need any of this crap, he says, as he pushes aside the tools.
innovation and trying something different. But when you call certain tools that's been used in tea ceremonies for centuries, it comes off a little tone deaf, you know? It also kind of feels like that gentrified boba on Dragon's Den and how, like, you know, it's a better version.
What if I told you there's a better way? Keep it as fresh as the day it was harvested.
You know, maybe if they marketed the product for someone with, I don't know, dexterity or accessibility issues. Like, you know what I mean? Also, I'm sorry, but the product just doesn't look good. Like, if it's not oxidized, why is it that brownish color?
Yeah.
You know? Just look at this.
Oh, that looks beautiful.
You cannot tell me that brown sludge is fresher than this.
Yeah, that was literally crap in a tube. If plants could have a shit, it would be that. So yeah, powdered matcha was made and invented in China. What do you expect? And why are you saying that like it's a bad thing? Talking about that like made in China stereotype is a kind of a harmful idea that everything is poor quality that comes from China. I think what a lot of people don't realize is the reason you can get cheap mass-produced things from China is because they have a ginormous manufacturing industry that can support it. And said industry also makes a ton of hyper expensive, high quality, and heritage products too. So those were all in reference to the videos and the ads that got this brand outright cancelled last year. And a couple of weeks back, they tried to make their comeback for some reason. Now, the owner of this brand absolutely refuses to let this die and has been posting videos like this.
There's so many haters out there that have not even tried Poda. They just hate the idea that why is it not powder? These are the same kind of people when pasta was put in boxes or tortilla chips were made, they got really mad and said, oh.
One second. First of all, let's address when people do something wrong and loads of people are angry about it or frustrated about it. They're like, wow, there's so many haters. No, you're a fucking idiot and you fucked up and you said stupid shit and you're unapologetic about it. And your product looks like turd. At least when you have pasta in a package, when you cook it, it looks like pasta. Wait, I don't know what it's talking about tortilla chips for. When you have tortilla chips, it's a tortilla chip. When you mix up your green paste, it looks like a tree's diarrhea.
Why is it not the way it was before? It's important to note we're not trying to compete with the traditional ceremonial powder and stopping anybody from doing it, but we're giving people an option to make a good quality matcha at home without the ceremony. There's so many haters out.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second, because if that is the idea, a quick, easy, I'm trying to think of a product to compare this to that's a quicker version of something else. Nope. If your idea was to make it quicker, why didn't you approach this from the like, we love matcha, we love the ceremony of it, we love the idea of it, but sometimes we live in this busy world and we don't all have time to always whisk it up. So for you, when you're on the go, when you're on vacation, when you're in the office, here's a paste to see you through, you know? I mean, I wouldn't worry about it replacing matcha, that's for sure, but why not approach it from that instead of being there and pushing all the stuff aside and being like, this is all shitty crap from China? Why don't you just say you respect the tradition, you respect the ceremony of it? But we don't have time. We all have busy lives. Sometimes in the morning, we don't want to whisk this out. We just want to get out the door. Here's a paste. Here's a quick, easy matcha. You know what I mean? Come on. Also been releasing statements like this. Our stance. We've seen the conversations around our early content. To be clear, we have a lot of respect for the traditional matcha culture and the people who practice it. Poda isn't trying to replace tradition. I wonder if they changed their name. It's simply for people who already drink matcha lattes and want a faster, easier way to enjoy it. Okay, so why didn't you put that across the first time, like I just said? Instead of being like, fuck everything else, have this paste. And honestly, it just kind of reads like this. My opinion, most important. I've seen I'm getting cancelled, and that means no money. I know this already exists, but I want to make it worse. This is for people who want to pay for packaging. This is obviously for people who want to eat beans on the go. From the brand Poo Beans. Can we just talk about the shit quality, by the way? If I'm being really picky, and it really does show lack of attention and lack of detail of this guy. He didn't even remove a background off this. Can you see there's like a line? All you have to do is go on Photoshop, remove background, rasterize layer, remove background, and it will take your tube, your image, make it into like a PNG. You can put on whatever background you like. Yeah, really is that simple. Go on Canva, you know, remove background. There's some easy ways. Some people just don't have the attention to details, do they? The shit fun. For a brand he apparently believes in, right? He sure cannot spend more than 20 seconds making material for it. Just from some other people as well, their thoughts on it. Someone said that tube matcha looks more like horse shit than matcha. Literally saying made in China like it's derogatory. Like what? And someone says literally, yeah, it's absolutely crazy. And this person, rightly so, says, ah yes, a sacred ceremonial tea that has been around for thousands of years has just now been perfected by this random company by shoving it in a tube and giving it a swamp brown color. Everyone's pissed. Why can you not see that everyone is pissed? You know what I mean? Get rid of that company. Put something else in a tube that's helpful, you know? What would be helpful in a tube? Gum. Let me know your opinions down below, please. Would you drink this swampy, nasty tree shit matcha in a tube? Let me know down below. Thank you so much for joining me. Subscribe if you have not already. Give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye.